Welcome to the Quantum Revenue Expansion Podcast. My name is Ursula, and I'm a sales expert, strategic business coach, and USA Today bestselling author. I love sharing strategies that show you exactly how to turn your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. If you're looking to take a quantum leap in your revenue or sales, your team, your productivity, your success, and your life, then you are meant to be here. My goal in every episode is to help you take your belief that it's possible to 2x or 10x your revenue while working way less to knowing that it is happening right now. Hey everybody, welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we talk about turning your annual revenue into your monthly revenue. I'm super excited because today we have one of our very cool CEO table clients, Nancy Chu, with us. She is going to enlighten you on how to pay yourself your dream salary. So Nancy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the word that you use, enlightenment. Love it.
I don't, it's just all coming to me today, Nancy. So we'll see what else comes through. But that's what it feels like, right? Because when you're with clients, you enlighten them. You help them expand to see a new vision for the amount of money they could make, which is what we talk about here, quantum revenue expansion. Now, of course, you work in the corporate world, and you have your own business. So you've had to you're bridging both worlds right now, which is going to be really cool to talk to you about.
I love that. Yes, bridging both worlds.
All of it. Formally introduce you in a moment. Just really quickly to our listeners all over the world. We so appreciate you. We love hanging out with you. Thank you for being here with us every single week. And if for some of you, I know you've kind of been floating around in our world for a bit. We have launched the new Profit Accelerator. I'm super excited about it. It's only one day. Trisha kept hearing from people, they were saying 2 days is too much. So the 2X intensive with 2 days, too much, a lot of twos, right? And so Profit Accelerator is one day. So if you're looking to really grow your business, grow your profits, expand your sales, come and play with us at the next Profit Accelerator. We have 2 on the books before 2024 is over. We have one at the end of October, the 29th of October and November 20th, right before the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. So yes, and they're both filling up. So we have lots of clients who are interested. I think the one day thing is just so much easier for entrepreneurs, and why I didn't get that sooner, I apologize. But anyway, if you're interested, we will have the link in the show notes for Profit Accelerator so you can come and hang out with us. With that, let me tell you about Nancy. First of all, I just want to say we have the coolest clients ever. Like if you've been hanging out here for a while, you know our clients are so amazing. They're so brilliant. They bring so much to the table. And we've never had anyone like you, Nancy, who is helping people's dream salaries come true. With nearly 20 years of experience. I know, how do you have 20 years? You're so beautiful, so young. 20 years of experience in engineering and product management, building products for hundreds of millions of users, generating tens of millions in revenue at B2C and B2B startups, as well as managing teams as large as 9 PMs and leadership roles at Meta and Roku. I should say it better, Roku. Just a few of those little companies out in the world. She now empowers and uplifts product leaders to achieve their career goals faster with more ease in big tech. And she helps them by helping them ace their interviews, ask for more money, all of the things. Nancy, let's just start by having you share a little bit about your story. Like what happened in those 20 years that brought you to this moment of having your own business?
Well, I would say I never thought that I would be a business owner. It was never in my plan. I never saw it coming. My dad has always been a small business owner.
Okay.
But I saw that he struggled with it. It wasn't always smooth sailing. And so growing up, he didn't always have stable income. And so I wanted the opposite of that. I wanted stability, and I wanted to be part of a big company because I didn't want to experience what my dad experienced and all of us experienced. And so after graduation, I went to work at one of the biggest companies in the world, ExxonMobil. And then I went to Oracle. And then I went to Symantec, and then these are huge enterprises.
Yeah.
But back in the early 2000s, that was when tech was started to really grow, and there was a lot of startups. And I decided, because I've been in Silicon Valley since 2008, I wanted to experience the startup world. So then I left Oracle to join a startup, which was then acquired by Symantec. So I went back to a big company. And then after that, I still wanted to experience startups. I went to 2 startups after, and then I went to Facebook. And then after Facebook, I went to Roku. So I've experienced large companies and startups. But unfortunately, I was part of the layoff that happened in 2022 when tech started to lay off tens and thousands of employees. And after that, I decided to take a break because I have never taken a break since I graduated. So I was traveling. I went to Hawaii. I went to see my parents in Taiwan. And then meanwhile, I was trying to discover myself. I was trying to look for a job at the same time. And here's the interesting thing. Because I was giving myself a break from full-time corporate job, I was saying yes to random things to do. And one day in one of my Facebook groups, someone was looking for an English tutor in a corporate environment. And I put the raising hand emoji in the post. And there was a lot of other comments. But I was traveling at the time, so I didn't have a lot of time to write a very thoughtful comment. And then the person responded back and said, "Hey, can we interview you?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Here's my LinkedIn, but I'm traveling right now, so maybe we could talk next week." So then they said, "Okay, so let's talk next week." So I got on the Zoom after I came back to the Bay Area. And it turns out that person is a product manager working for Meta, where I used to work. And I was there for 6 years. And so I became his perfect English tutor. And because I understood exactly what he was going through, I started to help him navigate the work dynamics. And I started to help him level up
Yeah.
in his day-to-day as a product manager. So I started as an English tutor and I became his coach serendipitously without planning. And that experience was so awesome for me because I went on another trip and then I was still able to help him when I was traveling. So it opened my eyes. As a corporate employee, I never thought that I could travel, have fun, and work at the same time
Ooh, yeah.
until I experienced it. And I was like, what? What is this? What is this lifestyle? It was amazing. So when I was in Taiwan, I decided to experiment and see if I could get more clients, like my very first client. And so I just went on LinkedIn, messaged some people, and I got 2 more clients when I was visiting my parents in Taiwan. And I was like, okay, I guess it's not that hard to get clients. And people were starting to ask me for my website. And I didn't have a website. I didn't have a domain. And so I was like, okay, I guess I need to build a website. So I built my website from my parents' house while I was traveling. And that was the beginning of my business. I just did one thing after another and it just seemed to align. And then a month, no, 2 months after this experiment, I decided to give this a shot. And that was when I stopped interviewing.
Mm. So many things to unpack. First of all, unfortunately, you got laid off, or maybe it was
Unfortunately or fortunately.
fortunately. Yeah. It's interesting how that happens, and I've seen it happen for so many people. You worked for some of the biggest companies in the world. So let's go back a little bit for our listeners, because we're talking about getting paid, how to pay yourself your dream salary. That's really like, you're the dream salary lady. Like, you're the dream salary genie. Like, there's so many names. You help people's dreams come true with their salaries, which is amazing. I wish I would have known you back in the day. Anyway, you yourself had a dream salary.
I
I'm
did.
guessing you didn't start with a dream salary, though. What was the trajectory of your salary expansion?
Mm. My salary out of school was 96K. That was my very first.
Not bad. Probably a
Not
pretty
bad.
good dream salary for a college grad. So
Yeah,
yes.
still very good. That was back in 2006. So 2006, 96K. And then slowly well, I guess not that slowly. I went from 96K to over 100K, and then 200K when I started to level up as a product manager. So basically, when I went from product manager to senior product manager, I was approaching the 200 at the time. And then when I was moving between companies, basically every time I got a new job offer, there was a level up in terms of compensation. And when I started at Facebook, which they're called Meta now, but back then they were called Facebook, my salary was around 200 something, 250-ish. And I was at Facebook for 6 years. And that was when I tripled my total comp-ish. So I was like high 200s. And then by the time I left Facebook, I was making about 890K. So
Let's pause for a
6 years
second
later.
so everyone can take that in. So you went from 96,000 out of college, and then over the trajectory of your career, you were just, I mean, let's just say it, you were just under $1 million in comp. A little
Yes.
bit under. You're at
A little
890,000.
bit, yes.
So for everyone who's listening, yes, Nancy is definitely overqualified to be teaching this stuff. No, you are like this. I'm so glad that you're you were led in this direction because you've lived it. And unfortunately, I think for so many people that you probably, we know this, right? People live with mediocre salaries who are so talented, so smart, all the things. I have to ask you this because we have a lot of parents who listen and they're like, what? I can feel them asking this. What did you major in?
Electrical and computer engineering.
There you go. All right. So super smart brain. And so on the product management side, who did you work with first? Like what products did you manage first? Where did you start with that?
Well, I started in IT when I was working for
Okay.
ExxonMobil, and that
All right.
was when I was building tools for their scientists to do
Okay.
their experiments. And I used to program their robots that would do experiments for them. This was
Got it.
back in 2006.
This is so cool. I wish my husband was listening right now because he would think this is the coolest thing ever. So amazing. All right. So majored, got your first job, and then had this incredible trajectory. And so, and then you just happened to be at, so nowhere along this path where you like, I'm going to be coaching people in this space someday. That
No,
was never a thought. No.
never
It
thought of
happened
it.
beautifully and organically.
Mhm.
You did witness your dad, your family
Yes,
had a small business. The lesson, the gift from your dad was like, it sounded like was that yes, have your own business. And what you learned from that is you wanted something that was a little more cash flow
hmm
consistent, or you didn't want to live in scarcity. So you were
yeah,
going to create this in a different way.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So we're getting that full picture. So then this is what I love you said. This is for everyone who's listening who's been in business for a while. When we make marketing, we can make marketing so hard. You said I reached out to a couple people on LinkedIn and I got 2 more clients.
Yes,
And amazing, right? Because you didn't overthink it. It doesn't sound like you weren't like reading 500 marketing books. You just reached out and were like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want help?
correct. Yes.
Okay. And you got 2 more clients, and then the business has continued to grow and expand. So tell us today, who do you primarily work with, and like what do you help them with?
I primarily work with folks who are not in big tech yet, but want to join big tech at level 6 and above. Or if they're already in big tech and they want to work for Meta and Google.
Got it. Okay. And so when someone shows up in your world, like who's your perfect candidate or client? Like what are they struggling with? What are they showing up with? And how do you know you can help them?
The
Or
perfect
can't?
candidates, yeah, perfect candidates are those who are already familiar with big tech product manager interviews. And they've likely gone through interviews from big tech before, but
Mm-hmm.
haven't done super well in the past. Or they've done well in the past, but at level 5 or below. But now they want to crack level 6 and above. So in big tech, there's a big gap between 5 and 6. And then the
Tell me
gap just
more.
gets bigger and bigger.
What do you mean gap? Like, what is it? The skill set? Is it the interview process? What's the gap?
The skill set
The
to
skill set.
go from level 5 to level 6 is
Okay.
pretty big.
Okay. So do you help people understand their current gap between 5 and 6 and what they need to do?
Yes.
Or do they somehow already have a lot of those skills, but they just haven't okay, then what?
Well, most of them would say they don't know what good looks like because they already think that they're good.
Okay.
But for some reason, they're not getting the level 6 roles and the compensation associated with it
Okay. Because of what? What do you
because
think?
they don't know what good looks like.
Okay. What does good look like?
Good looks like you are able to not just sound structured in your communication, but strategic.
Okay. Ooh, you're telling us all the big secrets. I love this. All right. So it sounds it's nuanced, right? There's pieces that I think I'm good at this. I've been doing this for a long time. Why am I not getting the big salary? Now, when you help people from here to here and you help them fill in that gap, what can they expect to happen? Like, what are some of the success stories of the results that you've helped clients get?
Mm. I had a recent client who was a PM manager in one of the most unicorn startups that we have today. And I helped them get a L6 offer at Meta. And their compensation went from 220K to 470K.
Wow.
So they more than doubled their
Wow.
total compensation.
Did they even think that was possible?
Well, people in general know that big tech pays well.
Please. Yeah.
And these numbers are on the internet. You can find them. So it's not a big secret.
Okay.
Now, some people will, if you come from the startup world, you would kind of discount paper money, which is equity in the company.
Mm-hmm.
But when you join big tech and a public company and you're issued RSUs, they are not paper money anymore. They're real money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you could get the really high jump in terms of compensation.
That big full package. So there's the skill set, there's the strategy. Is there anything around mindset that you have to help your clients with so that they can make that leap from believing in the 220 to the four, almost 500,000?
The mindset really is because if you're already making more than 200K, you already are very skilled and you understand how tech companies work.
Mm-hmm.
But to go from startup to big tech, if you're not familiar with it, if you don't have a lot of support, it could take a long time. So for me, I failed the Meta interview multiple times. And I
Mm-hmm.
put in more than 100 hours to prep for the Meta interview, and I still failed. So I've gone through the process, and it wasn't very smooth sailing. Now, most people would try to handle it on their own because these are the people who have always done well in the past. They've always done really well in school, and they've always done very well in their career to date.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very used to, let me just figure it out.
Right.
Oh. But at some point, though, you want to factor in the opportunity cost. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, every time you fail a big tech interview, you have to wait at least 6 months to a year to interview again.
Wow. I didn't know
And
that.
so it's not like you could just try again. You
Right.
have to wait, and that's opportunity cost. And I have a
Yeah.
very good example to demonstrate opportunity cost. I had a client who was trying to do it on their own for 1 year, and they couldn't get any offers for 1 year. And then we started working together. After 3 months, they walked away with 3 offers. And they've never been in big tech before. They walked away with 2 offers from big tech with a level above, even
Wow.
in this market. Now,
Wow.
that by itself is amazing, the outcome. But if we had started working earlier without her, trying to do it on her own, she would have started earning the high salary a year in advance.
So what was the potential, like, what did it cost her?
So if her offer was in the high 300s, that means she lost more than 300K in terms of opportunity cost in the
Wow.
year that she was trying to do this alone by herself.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much here. And of course, like, one of the things that you've done well in your business is you've really niched, right? You don't work with everybody. You're pretty specific in
Mhm.
who you work with. And I think whether or not you were intentional in that in the beginning, it's worked well for you, right? Having this very clear niche, it's just easier to market, it's easier to target, it's easier to help people.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, like, what have you learned, Nancy, on this business journey since launching your company, like since coaching somebody in 2022, because you got laid off and started the company. Like, what are some of your biggest lessons that you can share with the business owners? Because you're on your way to a 7-figure business and beyond. Like, it's happening. And frankly, you're aligned with that. I mean, you were making 890,000 a year. So whenever you've been making that amount of money, you're already aligned with it. So it's almost easier for you to get there even faster, right?
Mm.
Having said all of that, what have you learned? What are some of the lessons learned over the past couple of years for you?
Opportunity cost is what I try to avoid at
Ooh,
all costs.
say more about that.
Yes, I know a lot of people who are trying to do this on their own, and they don't think about investment in their own business in terms of the learning and the best practices. So for me, I started my business full time in April 2023, and around end of June, I hit my first 10K month, which
Oh, that's
was I think about three months into my business full time. I hit my first 10K. So that was huge. That was a huge moment for me.
huge.
And
Yeah.
then and I thought, great, let's just try to repeat it and see if I could go above the 10K month. But I couldn't go above it. So basically end of June I hit 10K, and then I tried in July, I tried in August, and then I was trying in September, and then I just could not figure out a way. And that was when I enrolled in my first coaching program to learn the way from experts who have done it before. And then the month after I hit 30K.
It's amazing what happens when we invest, right? A
Yes.
powerful hack.
Yes,
And we
and
share
I
that
love
same mentor.
shortcuts. That's the mindset shift. I
Yeah.
love shortcuts. I mean, of course, I also like trial and error, but I am a natural impatient person,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
very impatient, and I just don't want to waste time.
Yeah. So raising your hand, getting the support that you need. Coaching is a hack. I always say that. And so when people hire you, it's a hack. When they
Yes.
hire us, it's a hack. When they hire our shared coach, who we both know, amazing Elizabeth, that's a hack, right?
Mhm.
Like, just finding those people who have those different pieces of business that can help us get there faster.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get it. Like, we're impatient as business owners, but what do you were willing to invest, even though with multiple coaches, right?
Yes.
What would you say to someone who's out there who's like, yeah, I don't have the money I'd love to invest. I don't have the money for that.
Well, if you don't have the money, there's other ways to get money, right? There's payment plans. Not saying that everyone should have debt, but that's also another option. Put it on your credit card and finance it over a year. Those are all options. But it starts with your willingness, though, to invest and being open to it. I
Yeah.
remember the very first time I invested in something like this, it was scary. And it felt like, oh my gosh, really? It was very uncomfortable for my nervous system when I made
Yeah.
my first investment.
Yeah. And what has been supportive for you being at the CEO table, or, working with your two interesting coaches, Rebecca and Ursula? Anything you want to share about that
The
experience?
biggest aha moment was when you guys really, really recommended systems and tools and processes. So
Mm,
before I joined the CEO table, I didn't have a CRM, and I didn't have a tool that allowed me to send invoices and I mean, I was using Stripe for payment processing, but I didn't have my workflow streamlined.
mm-hmm.
So the very first thing I did after joining the CEO table was to look into a CRM tool. And now looking back, I cannot believe that I didn't have a CRM to begin with. So
Right,
at this
sure.
time, I was already hitting 20K months,
Hmm.
and I didn't have a CRM.
Right. Which is kind
And
of amazing, right? I mean, yeah.
yeah, and I would not want to go back to the way I was running my business before the CEO table.
So it's gotten easier in the sense of having the
Mhm.
systems and processes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about your mindset? Has anything shifted with your mindset over the last 6 months that you've been hanging out with us in terms of how you're going to grow your business and where you want to take it and what's possible for you?
So I wanted to approach this question with a story first.
Yeah.
I grew up in Hawaii, and then I went to Pittsburgh for college. Big shift in temperature and weather in this environment. So growing up in Hawaii, seeing rainbow and sunshine and beaches became very normalized to a point that I thought it was just very normal.
Hmm.
And then I didn't understand. So I went to Catholic school when I was in Hawaii, and I didn't understand why in class they make such a big deal out of seeing rainbows. It's the covenant of God. And I just didn't understand because it's everywhere. And but the textbooks, the Bible makes it sound like it's such a special thing. I didn't feel that it was anything that special until I went to Pittsburgh. And then I stopped seeing rainbows. And then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That's not normal. So coming back to this question, what sh- what did I feel was very, very special about this experience is the community, the support, and not feeling like you are alone.
Hmm.
So I meet with a lot of coaches or solopreneurs who are trying to build their own business, and they're all saying that it feels very lonely. But I never had that experience, the loneliness feeling. And that's because I've always been in coaching programs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I've always been seeing rainbows every day. Like, what do you mean you don't see rainbows? And
Yeah.
so now I'm realizing it's because I've always been in communities with the support. I just never felt the loneliness.
Yeah. That's so beautiful. And for people who are listening, being in community is so critical, especially as CEOs, business owners. We tend to be in our, our solo space and, just running the business. And especially when we're doing a lot virtually, right? It can seem very lonely. And you're absolutely right. Like having those communities of support and seeing other people doing it, right? Like
Yeah.
have is expansive because then you can take on their beliefs, right? When they have a breakthrough, when they go to the next level, when you see somebody else at a 7-figure level that wasn't before, it's like, oh, I can do that too, which we know you're going to do. So, final thoughts or any advice you want to share with our listeners all over the world before we start to wrap up?
Uh, I I I want to share that investing in your business is not an expense, right? It's an investment.
Mm,
And I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't invest early. And
mhm.
I meet with people who say that they wish they would have learned the best practices earlier because it's less to unlearn and less to undo.
So true. Less to unlearn and less to undo. Beautiful. Nancy, thank you for sharing all of your wisdom on this like high-speed train of business growth that you've been on as you just, stepped into it and continue to make it happen. And like you, your clients wouldn't be where they are today if they hadn't invested in you. And so let's talk about that for a moment. So, we have a lot of business owners out there who know people who are in, corporate America, big tech, they're out there. Maybe it's a cousin, maybe it's a sibling or a spouse or someone out there that could utilize Nancy's help. So, Nancy, just share a little bit again, like who is that ideal person who, like, what are they struggling with right now? Where are they probably working right now? And how do they know if it would be a fit to work with you?
I help people who want to get into big tech, but not just get in and also thrive in big tech because it's not an easy environment. Um, so they're struggling with getting in the door, or if they're struggling in feeling like they belong in
Yeah.
big tech, I could help.
Okay. If they're struggling and so if they're in big tech already and they want to make more, they know they're meant for more, they should definitely work with you. One of the things I know I wanted to circle around before we share your contact information. We didn't talk as much. I mean, you've obviously talked about your business success, your business journey. Any other advice for our listeners? Like, so they might not be in big tech. They have their own company. How can they pay themselves their dream salary, right? When they're in business, anything you want to share with your own experience or what you've seen with other business professionals?
Well, I see my business as a extension of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually don't really feel the need to pay myself high salary if I know that my business is growing.
Yeah. And it's interesting you would say that. So there's the dream salary of, and it's different for everybody, right? Like for somebody it's 5,000 a month, for somebody else it's 10,000, for somebody else it's 20,000 a month. What's interesting though is your business is always paying you, right? So a dream salary for our businesses, like if we think about the package of a dream salary, it might be that you maybe you only on paper on your business pay yourself 50,000 a year or 100. I think Rebecca still pays herself 50,000 a year because there's a lot of other things that we pay for in our businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to have that money maximized. So because then it becomes a tax strategy as much as a pay yourself. And so clients will come to us sometimes, they'll say, I don't pay myself anything. And Rebecca does such a great job. She'll be like, really? Okay. So you're paying yourself, like you're paying your 401k every month. You're paying your insurance every month. You're paying your car owns your, your company owns your car. You're paying for this great retreat you just went on for business. So our businesses pay, to me, that's a dream salary in business, right?
Yeah.
Where it's all the things that our companies afford us to do, which often includes that travel that you were talking about that can be paid for if you do it correctly, according to IRS guidelines. I'm not a tax strategist. So all of that to say, when you do have your own company, it's different. It's different. But think about the dream salary in your business as the total package. And to your point, in the beginning, especially, you might not pay yourself that dream salary yet. At some point, you might be forced to pay yourself more though, or figure out another tax strategy.
Right.
Beautiful. All right. So tell us a little bit about, for those who know someone who might be a good fit for you, you have a free community on how to ace your PM interviews. How did they, tell us a little bit more about that. What happens in that community? I know you also, if you're part of that community, you get invited to a monthly call. Tell us a little bit more.
Yes, I host community roundtables every month, and that's just an opportunity for anyone who wants more support in their PM job search journey to come together, lean on each other, and share best practices. And I help community members prepare for their interviews, polish their stories, and answer case interview questions that could confuse a lot of candidates out there today.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and there's also free resources I share with the community. Some of my best recorded content is only available in the community and not elsewhere.
So that's the place to go. So we're going to have that is the number one place to go to connect with Nancy. That's the only thing we're going to have in the show notes. As I'm thinking about this, like that's where people need to go because they're going to get all these amazing free resources. So we will have that in the show notes. Nancy, thank you for hanging out with us today and sharing your wisdom and just being amazing. We love having your community and everything that you bring. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And to our listeners all over the world, as always, thank you for hanging out with us. We love you. If there's anything we can do for you, please email us at contact@ursulainc.co. That's it for this week, everybody. Make this your most epic month yet. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to leave a review on iTunes so I know what you like and can create content that guides you to up-level your business even more. If you want more strategic business tips, follow me on social media. You'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And you can visit my website at www.ursulainc.co. I love being on this journey with you and can't wait to connect with you on the next episode. In the meantime, make this your most epic month yet.